Hi everyone, I'm here with the brand new Amazon Kindle Paperwhite to my right here, and to the left is the first generation Kindle Paperwhite. This review is going to be a little different because I'm going to compare the two devices side by side, since the new Kindle Paperwhite is more of an evolution than a revolution when it comes to this model. So, the first thing I want to talk about is that the new Paperwhite features new display technology, meaning it is higher contrast and better reflectivity, which result in whiter whites and blacker blacks. So I'm going to turn off the light for a minute to show you just exactly what that looks like. First off, as you can see here, I have it in the official Amazon case. When you open it up, it unlocks it, which is quite nice. And when you close it, puts it to sleep. So, let's just flip this over. Go to the home screen. I'm going to open the same book so you can see exactly what it looks like on both devices. Both of them are turned up to the highest level of brightness, which is 24. Okay, so we're on the same page here in the same book. And as you can see, this is the first device, the first generation Kindle Paperwhite. Looks pretty good. Text is pretty sharp. However, down here on the bottom of the screen, there's kind of a black line, an undulating black line. So you can see that the whiteness isn't evenly distributed as well as it could be. Now, with the new Kindle Paperwhite, the text is, a little crisper. But down here is the big difference. That black line, where the light wasn't showing on this device, is practically non-existent on the new Paperwhite. You can see hints of it, but it's very minor. And by the time the third version of this device comes out, I'm sure those any black line will be completely gone. And as you can see here in the video, it's slightly brighter on this side than it is on this side. This side's a little grayer, and this is more of a brighter white. So it is noticeable, especially if you're reading in the dark. If you're reading in daylight, not nearly as noticeable. So that is probably the biggest change. Another thing worth noting is that it has a 25% faster processor, meaning that books open faster and pages turn faster than the previous device. So let's see if we can turn pages at the same time. It's very minor. I mean, you can see that on the right side, it's turning pages faster. But it's, not huge. Again, it's just very subtle change, but worth noting. And another thing also worth noting is the new touch technology. This time around, there's a 19% tighter touch grid, which makes the Paperwhite respond even more accurately to the smallest touches. I don't know about you guys, but if any of you owned a Kindle Touch, which was the predecessor to the Paperwhite, it featured infrared technology. So it didn't actually require you to touch the screen for it to turn a page. It was, if you passed this infrared sensor, the page would turn. So with that device, I definitely noticed problems where I wouldn't even touch the screen and a page would turn. Now, with the first generation Paperwhite, it had a capacitive touch display, which is the exact same thing on the new Paperwhite. But what they're saying is that the new Paperwhite, it's even more accurate when you touch it than it is on the old device. Again, this is a very minor change. I mean, it's good that they're making it more accurate, but will anyone actually notice that? Probably not. Now, here's a new change that is excellent. It's called Kindle Page Flip. So you can skip page by page, scan by chapter, or skip to the end of your book, all without losing your place. Here's how it works. Let me show you. So you just tap here for the menu, and then down here on the bottom, it shows the chapter that you're in, right? And when you tap that, this pop-up, like this window in a window display appears. And you have a scrub bar. So you can either drag this to jump ahead, or drag it backward to go back. And it displays the page number and the new chapter there. Or if you like, you can just tap these buttons, skip ahead to a chapter, or you can tap here. And when you tap it, it brings you to the window. Now if you want to go back, just hit the back button, and you're back. Here's another thing. Let's say you do this page flip, and you want to jump ahead, but you're like, you know what? I really don't think I want to read that. You just go up here to the X, and you just X out of it, and you're back at the page where you started. So it's a great way to scan a book, which is one of the things that these e-readers have had against them compared to traditional books, especially referential books, like textbooks, is that with a textbook you can just page through it and find what you want and jump around easily, where e-readers are more linear. This new Kindle Page Flip feature makes paging through a book much simpler when it's an ebook. So it's a great new feature that's available exclusively on the Paperwhite, the new Paperwhite. You aren't going to be able to get this in a software update on the first generation Paperwhite. At least Amazon has not announced that that is the case. So it is a point of differentiation and a reason for you to consider the new Paperwhite versus the old one. Another new feature is Goodreads integration. For those of you that don't know, Amazon bought Goodreads, which is a social media network for people who read. And they bought it because obviously reading is what Amazon's all about. So they integrated this popular social network into their Kindle devices, both the Kindle Fire, HD and HDX, and the Kindle Paperwhite. So what's it look like on the Paperwhite? Well, here's how it works. Let's go to the home screen. And I'm going to show you the home screen on the old device too, so you can see where it is. So on the home screen on the old device, you just have these buttons up here. But up here they added a G for Goodreads. So the way it works is it pulls up your Goodreads account, which you link to the device the same way you would Facebook or Twitter. It can show you the updates in your news feed of what your friends are up to, what they're reading. And actually it's funny, I can see here that my friend placed a book that I reviewed and read in her to-read list. So it's pretty neat. You can see that what you're reading influences what your friends read, and what they read can influence what you read. So if you're on your Kindle and you're not sure what you want to read, you can check out their activity. You can also look at your shelves to see what are you currently reading, what do you want to read. Again, you can look and see what your friends are doing. There's also the option to find new people to follow, all that good stuff. So it's not a groundbreaking feature, but it's a nice way to integrate two of Amazon's book-related companies together, similar to how Audible is now integrated into the Kindle Fire tablets. They're integrating Goodreads into their Kindle devices, and it just makes sense. There's also new Kindle Free Time, which is built-in parent controls to help parents, just create a set amount of time for their kids to read on these devices. So it's a great way if you tell your child that, sure, you can read on your Paperwhite, but you can only read for 30 minutes. You can use Kindle Free Time to set these parameters. So for parents who have children and they don't want them to be completely consumed by these gadgets, it's a nice little feature. It's also a vocabulary builder, which is very cool. I'm going to show you how that works. So, vocabulary builder is almost like My Clippings. When you highlight something, it creates a document called My Clippings with all your highlights and notes. Now, with vocabulary builder, let's say you tap a book, and you want to look up a word because you're not sure what it means. Auditorium. Tap and hold. What it'll do is it'll pull up the dictionary definition, as it always has done. And something I should probably mention while we're in here is now there's new Smart Lookup, which integrates a full dictionary definition with other reference information about a word, character, topic, or book via X-ray and Wikipedia. So if this book featured X-ray, you could tap there and it could tell you something from the X-ray file about the word or the person. Or if you tap Wikipedia, it will pull up the Wikipedia entry for auditorium. So you can check out that information straight from the book instead of having to leave and check it on your phone or on a web browser or something like that. So it is great that way. But anyway, we looked up auditorium, gave us the definition, right? So let's go back to the home screen. Go to Vocabulary Builder. And what's the first word there? Auditorium. So it pulls together all the words you've ever looked up. And then you can go to flashcards, and you can go through those words and study them to make sure you have them down pat. After you've understood a word completely, you can just tap Mark as Mastered, and it will add it to the Words Mastered list there. So it's a great way to help people retain words that they look up. Because many times you'll look up a word, and you'll say, okay, I understand. But then, if someone asks you a week later, hey, what does that mean? You may not be able to recall it. But if you want to brush up on your vocabulary and expand it, these flashcards are a great way to do that. So Vocabulary Builder is a very cool learning tool that has been added to this device that I think is a winner. And now there's new inline footnotes. So with a single tap, readers can complete text of each footnote in line without having to change the page or losing place in your book. So if you are reading a footnote in a book, you can just check it out straight within the book itself instead of having to jump from page to page. So it's a nice little feature if you're reading lots of books that have footnotes. And that's about it. So for anyone who's contemplating whether or not they should get the Kindle Fire or the Kindle Paperwhite, the new version, I would say sure. It makes sense if you've never owned a Paperwhite, or if you've never owned an e-reader. The new Kindle Paperwhite is an evolution of the original version. If you own the original version and you're happy with it, I'd say stick with it and wait for the third generation, because the third generation will be a more dramatic improvement than this current iteration. The new Paperwhite is definitely an improvement on the previous generation, but it's not groundbreaking. It's just making it, better in small ways, but meaningful ways. So that's it, and thanks for tuning in, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please check out my other videos, and of course, visit my blog, michaelcavacini.com. Talk to you soon.